Hello everyone, welcome back. For today's video, I wanted to go over the basics of merchandising and some do's and don'ts and best practices of merchandising. I have 5 tips that I think are the most important for merchandising, and then I have 2 little bonus tips at the end, so make sure to stick around. If you like this video and you've been enjoying all the merchandising content, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and let's get right into the video. So number 1 on my list, and these aren't really in order of importance in any way. First one on my list is going to be to do like visual rounds in the morning. I think that visual rounds are really important to make sure that the store is all cleaned up and all the product is like looking polished again and not really shopped through. Even like throughout the day, to do visual rounds and make sure that the product is all pristine and put back to the way it should be, how you want it displayed. If something looks really like shopped through, you yourself don't really want to shop through it. So if it's not looking pristine and like up to par, then it's just kind of a turn off right from the get-go, and most customers aren't going to spend much time in your store, if at all, if it's not looking really that clean and shoppable. Second thing on my list is if your store sells clothes and you have to display these clothes on most likely bust forms, body forms, mannequins, make sure you're following your own company's procedures on how to make the clothes look presentable. A lot of the times you'll have to steam clothes, you might have to iron them. Just make sure that there's no wrinkles and they're looking and as clean as your company prefers them to with their merchandising preferences as far as like steaming basics go. I know when I worked at Tommy Hilfiger, we had to steam a bunch of clothes. At other stores you might have to iron, but all stores kind of have roughly the same idea of how they want their clothes. No wrinkles, because a lot of the time in any store wherever you are, no wrinkles. Wrinkles are like prohibited. They're such a turn off and it does not look good. Number 3 is kind of associated with the second note that I had, which was if you have to pin clothes to bust forms, make sure that you're pinning them correctly. Again, each store is going to be a little bit different, but I think for the most part, they'll tell you how you need to pin sweaters or tops or pants. Usually you don't have to pin pants, but if you're pinning sweaters, the best practice is how to fold, and you always want your pins hidden. Pins should not be seen by customers. Pins should never be visible, ever, to customers. Customers should not be seeing pins whatsoever. That's like really bad. No. Just like wrinkles, no pins, no wrinkles, none of that. Number 4 is also really important. When executing a display, this one's kind of tricky. Make sure that you don't overdo it with one color. I think that there's a lot of campaigns out there for certain stores where, like, I know I saw a commercial recently with Ziploc, like everything was blue, and then for Target, a lot of the times everything is red. And I think that's kind of like okay because they learned to balance it, and that's the main thing, is to make sure that you balance your color. If your main focus is like yellow or red or whatever it may be, make sure that it's balanced well enough to where it doesn't wash any of the product out, or to where the product doesn't stand out, because that's the whole point, is to make the product stand out, and if it's not standing out, then no one's really gonna look twice at it. So don't overdo it with color. Make sure it's balanced enough, make sure it's clean, make sure that everything looks, balanced and well polished. The 5th thing on my list I think is also really, really important for window displays, for merchandising in general, to attract customers, is to make sure that you're following trends. If you guys are on social media, which I'm sure a lot of you are, not everybody is, but you can keep up to date by like through magazines, through like TV shows, through whatever. Make sure that you're following trends, because trends is a really easy way to navigate displays and merchandising. So if you're struggling to find a direction that you want on a certain product or whatever it may be, kind of like pay attention to what's hot right now, pay attention to what seasons are going on, and you can really navigate your displays through that. You can find a starting point, you can find a finishing point, you can find an overall focus or an angle on where you want to take that display, but I think it's really important to follow trends. So, if it's like a seasonal thing, like, oh, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, you can do something St. Patrick's. If there's like, festivals coming up or whatever it may be, just things kind of like that are coming up that a lot of people are interested in or excited about, then you can also kind of rearrange it that way. Pay attention to what's going on around you and what's popular and what's not. At this point for the store, you know what kind of customers you attract, so you'll also know what kind of things to merchandise and what things will attract them in, but it could attract potential customers as well, like people that don't usually shop your store. If it's something that's really popular that people are looking for, like that special dress for like a wedding that they have to go to, or again, a concert or like vacation, whatever it may be, I think that's really important as well to keep track of trends specifically for that reason. My 2 little bonus tips here at the end. The 6th one I have is to take photos of your displays. I think that's also extremely important. I've kept a lot of photos of past displays that I've done for sentimental reasons, but I think it's also a really good idea to take photos of your displays to build your portfolio in case you end up looking for another job. You never know where it may take you, so I think it's a really good idea to just like keep photos of your work, to look back on and reflect on, or to build your portfolio. Both are a win-win, so I would highly suggest doing that. The last little bonus tip for this video is to remember, I'm gonna read this word for word because I don't want to mess this up. I was really proud with how I phrased this. Okay. Remember, merchandising can't really be taught. You can learn the basics of standards and understand how to follow procedures, but by expanding your creativity and overcoming challenges, you'll learn how to truly be a great merchandiser. So I think that goes for many professions. You can be a great teacher, you can be a great anything if you go by the book, if you learn how to do it, and you know the best practices and how to execute them. But to really be a great merchandiser, you just need to like constantly push yourself, constantly look for creative opportunities and things that you haven't tried before. I think being a merchandiser means kind of being a daredevil in a sense and constantly pushing the envelope and seeing how far your displays can take you, how far you can push yourself, and just thinking of things that you haven't really done before, you haven't really seen done before. And I think that's a really important part of merchandising. As a merchandiser, I think you learn to appreciate other people's displays as well. When you walk around malls or stores and you see the window displays, you're like, wow, that's really unique, or that's really pretty, or look at that attention to detail. And even if you're not a merchandiser, still people can really notice the effort that you put into a display. If it's something that's just really extraordinary that you haven't really seen before in that store or anything like that, like customers will definitely take a second to look at it and really appreciate and be like, wow, this looks, you know, amazing. It's something that I work on every single day with being a merchandiser, is just building my creativity and learning how to be the best merchandiser that I can be. And it's a building thing. I feel like there's always room for improvement. And I love having that endless opportunity to be creative and constantly think of new ways to be creative and execute that in my displays. And I think that's really important. And that's what it takes to be like a really great merchandiser. In my opinion, others may differ, but that's just kind of what I think. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, again, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more merchandising content. And I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.